is NTTV Nightly News.
Early voting and political engagement are happening across campus today. We have live team coverage.
The UNT student government is undergoing a change at the top. You'll hear from the new president.
Texans are standing up against ICE. We'll show you how. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on NTTV Nightly News. I'm Annie Tomlin.
And I'm Maddie Holston. Tonight we begin with politics on the local, state, and national level. You'll hear from Cameron Shields, who's covering Beto O'Rourke's visit to UNT, and George Swoboda, who has more from Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico.
But we begin our team coverage with NTTV's Isabel Smith, who's live with a look at the first day of early voting in the Texas primaries. Isabel?
Well, Annie and Maddie, this primary has drawn a lot more interest than many elections in recent years. Nearly every major political office in Texas is on the line. Early voting began today for people who registered before the February 2nd deadline. And on campus today, there has been a major push to get people registered for the November general election. Some positions voters will be able to find on the ballot are Texas governor and lieutenant governor, U.S. senator, and Texas attorney general, among many other state and local offices. During the early voting period, residents can vote at any polling place in Denton County. UNT's early voting will be held at the Gateway Center here on campus and will be open this week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Visit votedenton.gov to find polling places, dates, and times. If you missed the early voting registration, you still are eligible general election. And with early voting starting, there has been a lot of excitement here on campus. NTTV's George Swoboda has more. George?
That's right, Isabel. It's been a huge 48 hours here on campus with visits from two major players in the Democratic Party. Earlier today, Beto O'Rourke stopped by the Union as part of his Every Campus Counts tour. The former El Paso congressman is not running for office this year, but he is well known to Texas voters for his 2018 Senate campaign against Ted Cruz. While O'Rourke narrowly lost that race, he has remained involved in national and state level politics ever since. He ran for president in 2020 and governor in 2022. NTTV's Cameron Shields is live at the site of O'Rourke's event. Cameron, what can you tell us about it?
That's right, George, because just like a bunch of other students here on campus, I got the opportunity to speak with Beto O'Rourke. O'Rourke advocated for students getting what they want by registering to vote. Here's what he had to say.
Checking voter registration status, updating the voter registration for people who've changed address, registering people who've never gotten registered before, and then in all cases staying in touch with these young voters to make sure that we answer their questions about voting and that we nudge them to cast that ballot now during the primary. This is the first day of early voting, but also, and probably more importantly, for the November election. You are the present. You are the right now. You are going to decide what our country is going to look like after the 2026 election.
As far as I know, George, this isn't the only Democrat that visited campus this week. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about some of the others who paid us a visit?
Thanks, Cameron. Democratic Senate candidate Jasmine Crockett visited UNT yesterday for an event hosted by the university's National Black Law Students Association chapter. Crockett spoke to students about her career journey, from law school to representing the Dallas area in the U.S. House of Representatives. She says young people must realize their place in politics.
I trust young people's voices, especially as I say that I'm fighting for their future. I can't fight for their future and then leave them out of the conversation.
Now, just a few days before Congresswoman Crockett's visit, her main rival in the Democratic Senate race also stopped at UNT. James Tallarico spoke to students last week and later answered their questions about his campaign.
My message here at UNT and to young people across this state is that if we as young people are not at the table, we will be on the menu.
Tallarico's rally focused on uniting young voters behind his campaign and the Democratic Party as a whole, touching on issues like high cost of medicine, the polarization of politics, and recent events such as immigration and custom enforcement operations in Minnesota. But afterward, he expanded on key issues for young voters, especially affordability.
And the issues that impact us, millennials like me, but Gen Zers like the ones here, are the most urgent issues in this country. Gun violence, climate change, student debt, the cost of housing, the cost of childcare. These issues impact young people, young families, more than they do other folks around the country.
Since announcing his run, Tallarico has campaigned as a candidate for young voters.
Well, young people want to see a people-powered campaign. They don't want a candidate who takes corporate PAC money. They want someone who is powered by people. That's exactly the kind of campaign we're building, because that's the campaign that's necessary if we're going to take on this broken, corrupt political system.
Tallarico says his resume speaks for itself.
That's exactly why I'm running. I have a history of doing it in the state legislature, and I'm confident with this people-powered movement, we can do it in Washington, D.C.
And that it's young voters and their neighbors that inspire him.
I look out on a crowd of students and neighbors who are gathering together to try to save their country and love their neighbors. And I'm filled with a little bit of hope.
With NTTV Nightly News, I'm George Swoboda. NTTV will continue to give you live updates on this race and the other big primary contests in a live election special on Tuesday, March 3rd. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, George. Tallarico's campaign is getting some unexpected attention thanks to a controversial decision made by a TV network. CBS late-night host Stephen Colbert interviewed Tallarico yesterday, but it never aired on TV. Colbert says the network blocked it due to new FCC guidelines that require shows to provide equal time to all candidates. Instead of airing on The Late Show, it was uploaded to YouTube, where FCC rules don't apply. As of this evening, the interview has been viewed more than 2.7 million times on YouTube.
Meanwhile, in the other primary, the top 3 Republican candidates for Senate are fighting for President Trump's endorsement, but they may not get it. Incumbent Senator John Cornyn faces primary challenges from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and Congressman Wesley Hunt. The president says choosing between the 3 men is impossible for him.
I just haven't made a decision on that race yet. It's got a ways to go, and I haven't. He's a good man. John is a good. I like all 3 of them, actually. I like all 3. Those are the toughest races. They've all supported me. They're all good, and you're supposed to pick one. So we'll see what happens, but I support all 3.
The Republican Senate race is expected to go to a runoff between the top 2 vote-getters. That will be held on May 25th.
Maddie, while people are heading to the polls for early voting, I think it might be smart for them to bring a windbreaker.
I agree. It's been pretty windy and pretty hot, so let's send it over to our weather anchor, Alex Martinez, to see how these conditions will hold up. Alex?
Hot and windy is the correct description of this current weather right now. Guys, as you can see here, it is 72 with a 16-mile-per-hour wind speed. It was a little cloudy today. It really was just wonderful weather, a great time for being outside. Now, as we go into tonight, it's going to cool down just a little bit more than what we usually have been having. It's going to be 68 all around. Still that really strong wind speed of 14. Now, early tomorrow morning is going to be what we have been seeing, where it's been hot during the day, it warms up during the day, but early morning is going to be really, really cold. It's going to be 55 sun up, 4-mile-per-hour wind, a lot less windy than we have been previously. That's all from me right now. Stay tuned for the full weather breakdown. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Alex. Tonight, the world is remembering a civil rights leader and icon. The Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away peacefully today at the age of 84. Karen Kaifa has more on how Jackson is being remembered.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson, a protege of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who became a towering civil rights leader himself, has died at age 84.
Make no mistake about it, Jesse Jackson was unique in American history. And I hope that his legacy lives on a new generation of Americans who might draw from that energy.
Jackson died peacefully and surrounded by his family, according to a statement from the Rainbow Push Coalition, the nonprofit social justice organization he founded. He had been hospitalized in recent months as he dealt with a degenerative brain disease, progressive supranuclear palsy. Jackson's passing mourned Tuesday by those who worked closely with him.
He never stopped. I once said to him, "You already in history. You've gotten all the honors. Why do you keep going?" He said, "I never learned how to retire."
And by those inspired by him.
He told us to get involved, to be involved with helping the next person, being an example for the next person.
More than 2 decades before Barack Obama was elected the first black president of the United States, Jackson made White House bids in 1984 and 1988.
We must come together.
And challenged Democrats to expand and reshape the party.
He shifted the party and shifted the rules of the party to bring more people in. How many people owe their political lives to what Jesse Jackson did? He never just ran for himself.
In a statement, the NAACP called Jackson, quote, a lifelong soldier for justice. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Coming up, UNT faces steep budget cuts. We'll explain what led to the crunch.
And if you're having trouble finding a job, we'll show you why AI may be making the problem worse. Here's our big stories.
The University of North Texas is facing a $45 million budget deficit, and we'll be hearing about how the administration plans on handling this on Thursday. In a press release today, University President Harrison Keller announced a fundamental structural change is coming. The cuts will all come at once and will be across all areas of UNT. The projected deficit grew from $32 million to $45 million for various reasons. UNT lost substantial funding from state legislature and has also experienced a sharp drop in international student enrollment at the graduate level because of changing federal regulations. President Keller says these budget cuts will not be easy but are crucial to stabilize UNT's financial picture. However, he says despite these hard choices, UNT will continue to support its values, mission, strategy, and priorities. NTTV will have more on these major changes as they are announced on Thursday.
The Denton Record-Chronicle is reporting tonight that UNT Athletic Director Jared Mosley has received a significant increase in his university salary. This comes from a Freedom of Information request made by the Chronicle. Mosley's new contract began in mid-December with a base salary of $725,000 a year with an annual raise of $25,000 each of the 5 years of the agreement. Mosley became the athletic director in 2022, and he helped UNT transition from Conference USA into the larger American Conference, and his time here includes overseeing one of the best football seasons in the history of the UNT program.
For the next 3.5 months, the student body will have a new student government president. Armando Sanchez officially took office on February 4th. Meet him and one of the goals he has for UNT.
These University of North Texas students now have a new SGA president with big initiatives for his last 4 months in office.
We're still running, like I said, business as usual. So, because at the end of the day, we are focusing on the students, not ourselves.
The Student Government Association President Rutwick Dugaretti resigned on February 4th, making him the 5th executive member to leave the SGA during the 2025-2026 term.
It kind of feels awkward because now I'm kind of curious to know what happened, what made him resign, and what kind of transpired. And I hope it's not a big deal. I hope it's just maybe he did a good job, and he was like, I'm tired. I'm gonna just leave.
I reached out to Dugaretti following his resignation, but he declined to comment. However, the UNT SGA released a statement on behalf of the former president, saying he resigned himself and did what he needed to do after reflecting.
Life gets in the way, personal reasons. That's all I can say about that.
In light of this new presidency, Sanchez has the initiative to make a couple changes to UNT.
I've seen pictures of people in wheelchairs specifically, not being able to have access of the sidewalks due to ice, and it can become very dangerous. And so we're trying to figure out a way, how can we solve the issue? And that's really important.
Well, I think that is very needed because UNT is a big school and it's hard to walk around. And it's going to be great, having, people who are not as privileged as other people to, get around here and just commute without having problems.
Besides accessibility and AI, the president's main mission is to advocate for the students and address their needs. NTTV Nightly News, Maddie Holston.
We'll keep you updated on how Sanchez is doing and if his initiatives like accessibility, AI, and student advocacy will follow through in the coming months.
Maddie, I'm really hoping that the wind goes away soon because it's my least favorite element ever.
I have to agree, and I'm not a fan of how it's treating us. Let's send it back to our weather anchor, Alex Martinez, to see how long this breeze will last. Alex?
Thanks, Maddie. Well, the wind will definitely be dying down, but the heat will not. Spring hasn't fully sprung, but we are getting there. As you can see here, compared to last week, truly an up in temperature. We are finally at like the 70s range. We have 74 in Dallas, in Dallas and Fort Worth, 77 in Stephenville, 81 in Graham. They are experiencing, unusually warmer temperatures than we usually have compared to last week, where we were a little bit more on a colder front coming through. Now, if you look farther out into the greater Texas area, you see here Oklahoma City, 71, Abilene, 81. Austin and Houston are both 80 and 73 respectively. Like I said, spring hasn't sprung, but we are starting to get there. Now, in comparison to our entire full week breakdown, as you can see here, we're going to continue with like 70s, 71 for our highs, but we're going to do a big drop down to 49s to 56s and finally to 60s. The clouds are going to be overcast. The wind's going to be gone, but clouds and cloudy weather will be here to stay for a little while longer. That's all for your full weather breakdown. I'm Alex Martinez. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, Maddie, I have a very big question for you. Do you think AI is actually going to take over the world one day?
I'm not sure, but I know that's making it's making it harder for people to find jobs. With more, is Amber Rapasi with details. Amber?
Well, ladies, that is an interesting question. Companies are hiring, but AI is making it harder for them to find real skills with AI-generated resumes and cover letters. CNN's Jen Sullivan has the details.
Finding a new job can often feel like a full-time job because of how long it can take to get hired.
The job process is always a frustrating one.
Dawn Fay with recruiting firm Robert Half says the good news is many companies say they're hiring. They recently conducted a survey of more than 2,000 U.S. hiring managers. 60% said they plan to add permanent staff. And the latest jobs report released last week beat expectations, with 130,000 jobs being added in January and unemployment ticking down to 4.3%. But Fay says it's taking companies longer to fill openings, and one of the reasons, applicants are increasingly depending on AI to craft resumes and cover letters.
There are so many resumes that are coming in now, many of them looking very similar, that it's taking companies longer to go through them and longer to vet things to make sure that people really have the skills that are on their resume.
In that same survey about hiring, 65% of hiring managers said AI-generated resumes are making it harder to assess real skills.
It can certainly help people make sentences and things a lot crisper, but you want to make sure that that resume really reflects you.
Did you deliver a project on time? Manage a budget? Launch a social media campaign? Fay says those are all examples that should be fleshed out quantitatively in a cover letter and resume to help you stand out. She also recommends applicants reach out directly to hiring managers in addition to filling out an application. If you do land an interview, she recommends asking what the company's timeline is to fill the position so you have a better understanding of their timing. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Remember, companies are hiring. Taking the time to build your own resume just may get you hired quicker than AI can. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Amber. Up next, a change of heart after ICE tried to move into a North Texas city.
And is your doorbell camera invading your privacy? We'll have the latest on the debate ahead.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell and I'm joining you here today in the Union Parking Garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my god, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my god.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our Mean Green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
There's no harm in waiting.
A protest against the purchase of a local warehouse by the Department of Homeland Security became a celebration in a matter of hours. Residents of Hutchins became concerned after news that a warehouse owned by Majestic Realty would be purchased and used as an ICE detention center capable of holding up to 9,500 immigrants. The city of Hutchins has less than 6,000 residents itself. Community members joined together to oppose the sale, forming a group they call Hutchins Citizens United. Although the group showed up to protest the presence of ICE in their community yesterday, the owners of the warehouse released a statement confirming that they would not be selling the property to ICE.
Super Bowl 60 has come and gone, but many are still talking about one of the commercials that aired during the big game earlier this month. It has led to some controversy about personal privacy and the misuse of AI. Michael Yoshida has more.
Maddie, do you want to watch some basketball with me after the show?
I would love to. And I also know that our sports anchor, Gabby Pippins, is live from the Super Pit, previewing what tonight's game will look like. Gabby?
That's right, guys. UNT women's basketball is about to tip off in just a few minutes against UAB. When we come back, I'll have a preview of that game, how Michael Jordan got his 7th ring, and how the Cowboys plan to keep George Pickens. Stay with us.
Look up here. 1, 2, 3. Mom, Dad, I got it.
You're right, Mom. I have.
Our UNT women's basketball team is preparing to take on UAB in just a few minutes. Now, both teams are coming off a win streak, but UNT is expected to win based on their inside and outside of conference play. Now, one of those things propelling them is their dynamic defense, led by Megan Nestor, who's averaging 14.4 rebounds per game. Paired with the team's leading scorer, Asia Proctor, who leads with 13.3 points per game, the Mean Green are going to be pretty hard to beat. Now, the game doesn't tip off until 6:30, so you still have time to make your way down to the Super Pit and cheer your Mean Green on. Now, guys, this would not be a sports segment without mentioning the GOAT. Happy birthday, Michael Jordan, your 63rd, and congratulations for your first race win with 23XI Racing. Jordan's NASCAR team won the 68th Daytona 500 Sunday for the first time, with Tyler Reddick's number 45 car beating everyone to the checkered flag. As always, things came down to the final lap. Reddick started in 26th and stayed in 20th for the majority of the race. He was only in the top 5 positions for 18 of 200 laps and first place for less than 1, but hey, that's all it takes to win. 2 major crashes propelled Reddick to first place and broke his 38-race loss streak. Former race winners Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Joey Logano emerged in 2nd and 3rd place, allowing Toyota, Ford, and Chevy to fill the podium. And starting today, NFL teams can use their franchise tag to keep one player and give them an average salary of the top 5 players of that position. For the Dallas Cowboys, this means they may enforce their franchise tag on all-pro wide receiver George Pickens. Pickens ended the season ranked 3rd overall among all wide receivers in the league, and there are rumors of former Cowboy Micah Parsons trying to bring him back to Green Bay. The tag would guarantee Pickens remains a Cowboy, and he would earn anywhere between $28 and $29 million a year. However, it still would be less than his teammate wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, who's earning about $34 million a year. The Cowboys and teams across the league have until Tuesday, March 3rd at 3 p.m. Central to enforce their franchise tag. Now, that's all I've got for sports. I'm going to settle in and watch the game, but back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Gabby. This week marks the first week of Ramadan, the holiest month in Islam. However, the first day is unclear because it is determined by the moon sightings. Countries like Oman, Turkey, and Singapore have already declared it to begin on Thursday, but others follow guidance from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, neither of which have set a date yet. Muslims around the world celebrate the holy month by fasting between sunrise and sunset. The first day of Ramadan in the U.S. is tomorrow.
As the Mardi Gras season concludes, one of the hottest spots in Denton is throwing their own celebration down at the square.
And our live shot reporter Christina Orozco is there. Christina, how's it going over there?
I am here at Eastside Denton for Fat Tuesday, where food trucks have just started to serve for their Cajun food truck extravaganza. Po' boys, crawfish etouffee, and king cake. Not only that, but specials as well on drinks, so you could come by and get you a daiquiri and feel that New Orleans Mardi Gras vibe. I'm here with the patron from Eastside, Lexi. Lexi, why do you come here to Eastside to celebrate Mardi Gras?
Well, the patio is so nice. I love the weather, especially right now, is so good. But just the food trucks and then the drink options, it's really kind of a vibe to bring, people who aren't even from Denton to our favorite bar. They always have cool events going on too.
Yes, I mean, it is a hot spot. And you mentioned the food and drink. What has been your favorite food or drink item so far here today?
The crawfish etouffee was so good. The crawfish etouffee egg rolls, so good. Delicious.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to grab one. Yeah. I might have to go for seconds, but come out tonight. Enjoy the conclusion of Mardi Gras season. I'm sorry, with NTTV Nightly News, I'm Christina Orozco.
Thanks, Tina. Maddie, I know you were saying earlier that you've never had a king cake before, so I think it's worth it if I buy us one and split it.
That's totally right. Your place or mine?
Why don't you just come on over to my place and we can do it? Perfect. Thank you for joining NTTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow at noon and tomorrow evening at 6 here on North Texas Television.
I think that was a good little ad-lib.